what's up? Welcome to podcast number 4. I'm Mark McManus, your friendly neighborhood muscle hacker. I want to be in full-blown myth-busting mode today because I love to bust this myth because I really just don't like it, and it's been floating in the bodybuilding industry for decades now, and it's just wrong. And this is the myth that you can't build muscle and lose fat at the same time. It's impossible, apparently. The reason, the argument these guys use that it's impossible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time is basically this. In order to build muscle, you need to be in a caloric surplus, i.e. you need to be taking in more calories than your body needs to build muscle. But in order to lose fat, you need to be taking in less calories than your body needs to force it into a position where it dips into its body fat for energy. And since you can't be in a surplus and a deficit at the same time, it's therefore impossible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. Okay, it sounds logical and it sounds correct, but if those premises are wrong, then the whole argument's wrong. The conclusion is wrong because the premises themselves are wrong. Before I get into, this is not even my primary argument, before I get into my actual primary argument, I want to say this. Even if it was true, even if it was the case that you need a surplus to build muscle and you need a deficit to lose fat and you can't have both at the same time, well, so what? That doesn't mean that you can't stagger your calories up for a couple of days and then perhaps for one day you be in a deficit. So you stagger your calories up and down, and therefore over the course of a week or over the course of a month that you have built muscle and you have lost fat over that period. So you still achieve the goal. You've built muscle and you've lost fat at the same time over the same period of time. But you didn't do it at the same time because you staggered your calories up and you staggered them down. So over the course of a week or a month, you're more muscular, but you're also leaner. It's very possible. It's so obvious. And anyone who's been on my Jacked and Ripped membership program knows that this is just one small strategy that we use in order to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. It's possible, it works, it's predictable, you'll be successful at doing it. But that's not even my main primary argument. My primary argument against this is this idea that if you're in a caloric deficit, that it's impossible to build muscle. Now, and I will say this, if you're in a huge caloric deficit and you're in this deficit chronically, like every single day for a week and then a month and then 3 months, yes, it's true. Your body's not going to build much muscle if you're in a deficit every single day for months. But let's just use an example here. Let's say there's a guy and he needs 3,100 calories to build muscle. That's his surplus. And it's a surplus of about 300 calories. So his maintenance calories are 2,800 calories. And he's eating 300 above that every day in order to fuel muscle growth. And it's important for me to say that he's eating 300 because the recommended 500 that everyone seems to use is just way too much. 500 extra calories a day is 3,500 extra a week. That's ridiculous. Your body is not using all those calories to fuel muscle growth. It's no wonder that everybody who goes on these bulking cycles gets fat. I get emails all the time from guys, Mark, every time I go on a bulking cycle, I get fat. Well, of course. You're eating so much. You're eating 500 calories or more extra per day, and you think that that's all going to fuel muscle growth? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So 200 to 300 calories above maintenance is always enough. You don't need any more than that. So anyway, this guy's eating 3,100 calories a day. His maintenance calories are 2,800. So let's say that he starts eating 2,500. That's 300 below his maintenance level. So he's now officially in a caloric deficit. The conventional wisdom says it's impossible for this guy to build any muscle because he's not taking in enough calories. Here's the point. Where the deficit or the surplus matters is at the cellular level. People seem to think that it matters at the level of the amount of food you're putting in your mouth, What matters is how many calories do the cells of your body actually receive. And the point is this: if he eats 2,500 calories, the body's then going to dip into its body fat reserves for the extra 300. So, or more, maybe it dips in for 400. So that every day he's lost a bit of fat, and at the cellular level, he's got the 2,500 from food, and he's got the 300 or 400 from body fat that his body used to send to his cells to be metabolized for energy. So at the cellular level, he didn't get 2,500 calories, he got 28 or 2,900. So you see, it only matters at the cellular level what the calories are. Therefore, if he does this every day, he's losing fat because his body's using the extra energy from body fat for energy. You can add those calories to the calories that he's actually eating for his total calories that his body's using. So this begs the question, if he is getting enough calories at the cellular level, and if he's taking in enough protein to fuel muscle growth, can the body then use the amino acids from the protein that he's eating to fuel muscle growth, while at the same time dipping into its body fat reserves for the extra energy? Of course it can. The human body can do this. It does do it. I have studies in the Jacked and Ripped program that link to the studies that show that it's done. The people have lost body fat and gained muscle at the same time. My most recent podcast with Donald O'Neill, in his first documentary, he lost body fat and he gained muscle at the same time over the course of 1 month. So it's completely possible. The human body can do this. If your workouts are of a sufficient intensity to stimulate the body that it needs extra muscle, if you're taking in enough protein so the body can use the amino acids from that protein to fuel the muscle growth, and if there is a small enough caloric deficit that the body then needs to dip into its body fat to give the cells of your body all the calories it needs, then what you're accomplishing is simultaneous body fat reduction and muscle building. It's obvious. It happens. The human body can do this. So I'd like to just try to recap this whole thing by saying this. If there is actually a deficit from a caloric deficit from the food you're eating, that is, you're eating less food than what your body needs, then your body is therefore forced into a position where it needs to tap into its body fat stores to get that energy to replace the missing calories that you didn't eat. Therefore, at the cellular level, at the level of the cells in the body, there is no deficit. It got all the calories it needs from two sources, from the food you ate and from stored body fat. Now, additionally, if your training, if your workouts are of sufficient intensity to stimulate muscle growth, and you are taking in all the protein you need, you're getting your daily protein target every day, then those amino acids from the protein will be used to build muscle. And voila, you have built muscle and you have lost body fat at the same time. So I really hope I've been successful in busting this myth for you today. If you're listening to this podcast somewhere that's not MuscleHack, iTunes, YouTube, wherever, please go to musclehack.com/podcast-004. I have all the show notes there. All the important notes from this podcast have been written down, and also you can ask me a question or just scroll down to the bottom of the post. Ask me anything. I'm always happy to help. If you're on iTunes, please do subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a positive review. I love it when you guys leave positive reviews on iTunes. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, guys, please see my social media, facebook.com/MuscleHack, and you can find me on Twitter at MuscleHacker, MuscleHacker. So I hope that was useful. I sincerely hope that it busted a myth, and as always, train with intensity.